So if you weren't aware already, last week I made a video in response to a community post that I made on YouTube where I asked you all if you wanted to see a review of how I used AI technology in a way in my work that I believed was as ethical as possible, at least at the individual level. Now, almost all of you that responded not only rejected that idea completely, but you expressed your extreme distaste in AI. The response was so intense that I decided, instead of making the video with a focus on the artistic techniques and strategies I used, I would also spend a lot more time sharing how I took specific measures to ensure that it wasn't infringing on any individual artist's work. Now, some people misinterpreted or straight up disagreed with that, saying that any use of AI whatsoever is still full-on plagiarism, and that I still disagree with. But to those of you who said that because I paid a subscription to a service that's not for free, that has engaged in theft of all sorts of content from artists without their permission online, that is supporting that theft. And that I don't disagree with. You have a point there, and that's not something I wanted to pretend didn't exist. The goal I had with the video wasn't to say that I was morally flawless because I found this strategy, but it's more so that due to my beliefs that AI isn't going to disappear, that it might be helpful to share how to use it in better ways so that those who might use it in harmful ways by accident could do better given the opportunity. But the way I expressed and presented that video was honestly not a very good way to convey those ideas. And even though it's not like I didn't expect that backlash with the views that I have, knowing the context of the situation right now, the extremity of it was also just completely warranted because of how distorted the video became by the time I actually created it. You see, I've made a few videos over the past few years talking about the limitations with AI, encouraging people, sharing my frustrations, and I was also dealing with my own fear of being replaced. I'd only just started to make any real money with my artwork alone when I did my first Artist Alley back at Lightbox Expo in 2022. However, over time, as AI has improved more and more, I eventually came to terms with how I felt on it, and I even felt quite positive about how it could be used in the future in many ways, because there are a lot of problems in the industry and the whole world, honestly, that I feel and see every day that I don't like, and I would like to do as much as I can to point them out and hopefully get them fixed, which honestly is a little bit too overzealous, but still. After reading many of the comments, though, I felt really bad. And not only did it seem like I was being personally attacked, but many of you seem to be completely sold out on the idea that any AI is completely useless, that it's pretty much a just huge blight on humanity itself. And that's something I still disagree with. I disagree with then. I think it's really another way for us to point the finger at something else that happened to show a lot of the ills of society. And I think that ultimately AI technology will have the same ethical spectrum as any other new technology has had on humanity since the dawn of electric light bulbs, for example, which resulted in humans working way too much, working into the night, and now suffering from insomnia. It used to be that whatever you couldn't do without the sun, you just didn't do, and we would be forced to spend time doing other things like interacting with each other and dancing and, creating meals and sleeping. However, I'm not saying that, again, to dismiss and pretend that this thing is completely flawless and that I am morally completely absolved. I do believe that the individual does have a more significant part to play, though, in how quickly or significantly that spectrum goes positive to negative and can be used to positive use and detrimental use. And that's something that I wanted to contribute to with my intentions for that video. That being said, reading a lot of those comments, I got really hurt and I started to get pretty angry. I got pissed off as time went on. Some people called me a fraud, that I should remove the term artist from my bio. There were videos made to capitalize on the drama that I looked at, and they had even more negative comments. People were talking about how they always knew something was off with this guy. That's why I unsubbed so, all this time ago. And I looked way too much into that. That is not a good thing to do as a content creator, no matter what, because you can't avoid that stuff at a certain point. So At some point, my emotions began to include anger, and it spilled over into that video as I released it, and it ended up being called How to Use AI by a Real Artist. That real artist term was really the stepping point there for a lot of people. And that alone pretty much ruined the effectiveness of the video, regardless of how I actually presented my ideas in the video, because I ended up just caring way too much about what people thought of me and my work instead of the more general message that I had. Although I still disagree with many people's views on AI itself, I do want to apologize to anyone who felt cast aside or ignored or even shamed by me in that video. That wasn't my intention, and I let the emotions get the best of me, even though I tried my best to mitigate them. And it is important to address how people feel. It's rough. That's why a lot of people are angry. People are extremely scared, and I don't expect to be loved and paraded and celebrated for sharing these views. But it is something that I definitely believe I could have done better and want to make this video to express better. I may not be able to control what people think of me at all times, but I can improve how I present myself online, especially now that I'm more aware of the influence that I have, which I honestly did not think mattered that much for most of my career, believe it or not. AI technology isn't like NFTs like people mentioned. It's a tool that has impacted every industry in the world, if it hasn't already, and it provides value to a lot of people. There are amazing uses of AI that are even being used in healthcare, but those aren't showing up on your social media pages right now, right? You're seeing all of this salacious, incendiary content because that's what gets clicks. Even if the Midjourney software that I used in the video was completely destroyed, along with all of the other large corporations that can train their own AI to that extent, individuals can still get their own model and train it in a matter of hours, days, or weeks with just a few GPUs. So it's not going to just disappear. The threat of being robbed or stolen from has always been there, and it will always be there. So instead of the complete rejection of AI, I want us to ease away from that extreme a little bit and focus a lot more on what rules and regulations we want that are necessary, that really need to be passed by our really slow government to moderate this technology. I'm in complete agreement with that, and I do think it's necessary to shout and to be aggressive, and it's going to happen because people feel hurt and abandoned. And honestly, there hasn't been much support for visual artists ever in the lawmaking process, so it's a pretty significant opportunity. Because of the way I expressed myself in that video, especially with the title, I fully agree that it has negatively impacted that process. And that's why I've decided to change the title to be something much more representative to what it is. A case study on one possible way to use AI technology in a way that intentionally avoids replicating human-made, copyrighted material that just doesn't look like photorealism, basically, right? I do think that if it's possible, artists who have been stolen from should be compensated for. That every possible effort should be made so that those who have been affected by others exploiting their technology can be first in line to be compensated. I don't know how possible it is to do that perfectly, because how do you quantify something that's so subjective in the first place while also ensuring that each image used has a very clear, distinct source tracked to a specific human? But if you think about it, AI could also be used to solve that problem in a way that humans could never do before. So again, there's another use for AI that shows that it's not a complete blight on humanity like a lot of people were expressing that should be, chased away like a plague. I honestly thought that if there was any chance that I could educate someone on how to be a little bit more ethical with AI, then I would try to do that. We all partake in things that have shady ethical backgrounds, even backgrounds that are still going on today. But even though I haven't always been the most honest and perfect person in the world, as no one else has, I still somehow made a hugely positive impact with the art, videos, and the artwork itself that I've created prior to this point. And I believe if someone could have told you or empathized with you that, hey, you can improve, you can do better, when you felt behind, like you were just a loser, you did something shameful, I know that feeling can be extremely transformative and create a lot of good. And I feel like I want to try to continue to have that be a possible reaction for at least one person with each video I make. Now, some of you may be thinking, well, what about deleting the video? And you may think that this is selfish, but I'm just not going to delete the video. I personally don't want to contribute to the toxic idea that emotion is wrong. And more importantly, I don't like the idea online. It probably is only online, but even then, that's where I have my influence, to be honest, that people can't change and grow. That whatever you say, that's it, that sticks with you for life. I am probably one of the last generation millennials or maybe Gen Z that has had our childhood hidden from the online world. We're lucky. A lot of things are not going to be able to be traced back to use against us when we're adults. Gen Alpha is heading into a world where everything is going to be on record. Everything. And that's going to be crazy. And I want to do my part to not have this online world be so contrary to reality where people do change and evolve and grow. Not everyone is just trying to get away with stuff and continue to do bad things. But that doesn't mean consequences shouldn't be in play at all. Those are still very much important. So yeah, I let my emotions get the better of me in that video, even after taking a lot of time to reflect and speak with others around me. I did so after the video released as well, which helped a lot. And honestly, I've never experienced that level of malice directed towards me as an individual before. And it was good to experience because it's something that is part of the job. And I learned a lot of things that were necessary, and I'm still learning, that are going to help me to prevent that from happening in the future so that I can continue to express things the way I have been on this channel, the way that caused me to gain the following that I've gained. But yeah, if you can imagine, it's not fun to see 100 people every day saying that they're disappointed in you when you felt like they loved you and supported you. It's really tough. It was a lot to take in, and I'm still processing some of it. And I still acknowledge that this is part of what I signed up for, and I'm getting better at handling everything in a much more balanced way. But yeah, I'm not going to hide that video or the artwork. It's going to remain there with the updated title, of course. But hiding stuff like that, it just does not sit right with me. It happened. There's no undoing it. So it's going to stay there. But with the title changed, anyone who tries to look at it or use it in the future is going to be forced to see it in the updated context. And the title change isn't even hidden because I'm saying it in this video. So this is also going to be out there. I know many of you will choose to stay unsubscribed, and I respect that. But you at least deserved a clear view of where I stand on this topic and me sharing that with you. Now, I also want to mention that some of the comments I received critiqued the illustration that I made in and of itself. And while as many of those were just as emotionally heated and charged as I was, many of you had some really good points that I can't ignore. I'm not one to pass up on some good artistic criticism. Some of it has actually inspired me to do a lot more traditional drawing during my time offline recently to kind of balance all of this stuff out. And it's been a pretty profound experience because I have not drawn traditionally in almost 5 years. So I've learned a lot of things that I feel like are going to help my digital work, but also a lot of things that make me feel like this isn't going to end. And I want to share that with you in another video, because honestly, drawing traditionally feels really good right now. I also want to say a huge thank you to everyone who supported me in any way in this time. I really appreciate it. Some of you have heard my thoughts and agreed with me. Some of you disagreed, but you still expressed your support and you expressed why you disagreed and everything about it, which helped me get to this point. So I appreciate that a lot. Some of you spoke positively or simply added value to the discussion outside of the fact, which I, again, really respect and appreciate. But I'm not going to be mentioning anyone or any party specifically because partly I don't want to drag them into this. I know how I would feel, but I don't want to dilute my message with thoughts and rumors of secret partnerships or deals behind the scenes. I'm pretty sure it's clear. You saw I lost like probably almost 5,000, if not already, subscribers. It was a hit for sure. But my thoughts are my own and I want to keep it that way because if I'm going to set an example, I don't want to inspire people to think certain ways or say certain things because, oh, Ergo Josh said it or this person said it. I want them to gather what is easiest and available to them, and then to form their own decision based off of their own experience at the best level that they can. And that's the best value and contribution you can have to any conversation. Lastly, if you remember at the end of that video, I said I'd be making a print of that painting. Yeah, that's not going to happen. I'm not making a print of that illustration or any others prior to this that I used AI to that same degree in. I feel like, yes, I have a little bit of a higher standard for my work now based off of a lot of things that have happened, but this just goes beyond skill level stuff. I never really wanted to express that this is how you maximize stuff. This is about more than money. I feel like that's the least I could do to respect and show my solidarity to those who feel like they have been hurt or just left behind or mistreated or taken advantage of by these corporate industries and companies. So with that, that's all. Thank you all so much for watching.